The following episode may contain inappropriate material. Listener discretion is advised.
Sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll in. Oh, I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mattalk. Yes, this is a podcast where we discuss everyone's favorite attorney, Benjamin Mattalk. I am joined, as always, by John, my rightful companion. I just watched Wayne's World the other day. That's what I was thinking. But I got a tangent I want to get off on before. Sorry, John. I'm not even letting you introduce yourself.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Go right ahead. You go on your tangent.
I am somebody that I have Mattalk on DVD. I have a lot of movies on DVD because I'm always afraid that my internet won't work and then I won't have the movies, or they'll remove them from my digital platform and then I won't have them. So I've always got them. But the thing I prefer over everything else, as long as everything's working right, is streaming. And I just found out last night that Mattalk is streaming on demand on Pluto TV, not just as a channel. They had the first 5 seasons in completion. And I got to say, with the schedule I had today, being able to watch Mattalk on my phone while my mom drove us from garage sale to garage sale was amazing. And ladies and gentlemen out there, Pluto TV app has Mattalk. You don't have to watch the same episodes they tend to repeat on the channel. You can go there and you can watch them at your leisure. First 5 seasons. Now I got to go back and see if they have Three's Company on there because I want to binge that.
You know what? I am just blown away by your dedication to this podcast that you're going to watch it on your phone while you went yard sailing with your mom.
Well, John, God bless your heart in saying that. I appreciate it so much. I am so glad that I'm here to discuss this episode. Because this may or may not be my favorite or least favorite episode of all time.
Well, thanks for narrowing that down. It may or may not be your best or your favorite episode. Oh, man. All right. Well, let's not waste any more time, shall we? Let's jump on into our opening statement. Let's talk about the guest stars on this episode, which is entitled The Fisherman. Its original air date was March 29th, 1988. One thing I discovered while researching the guest stars, Jason, is that this cast is very, very experienced. These guest stars, a lot of them have appeared on a lot of programs or a lot of movies, but only had like one and dones. There were very few folks that had more than one and done type of performances on shows. One of those is, of course, one of our main guest stars, Dana Lee, who will be playing Mr. Win Tran. He had a long run on Curb Your Enthusiasm, playing the role of Mr. Takahashi.
That's where I know him from. I was like looking at him the whole time. I'm not trying to be one of those guys that's like, oh, this guy's Asian, and I know that he's from something, but like, I don't know what it is. Oh, and Lee, see, I thought it. Lee Tran was played by Jason Scott Lee. I'm like, that guy reminds me of Bruce Lee. And of course he does, because Jason Scott Lee played Bruce Lee in Dragon, a Bruce Lee story. Sorry, John, go back to Dana Lee.
Okay, Dana Lee was also Kimura on the new Hawaii Five-0, not the old one, but the newer one. He was also DK on Dr. Ken. And probably, most notably, he played the role of Ken in Rambo First Blood Part 2. All right, you mentioned Jason Scott Lee, so let's talk about Jason Scott Lee. He did play Lee Tran, and as you mentioned, he is probably best known for playing Bruce Lee in Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, which I think came out in the early 90s, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I believe so. I remember really liking that movie. I think I've only seen it once, though, but I remember really enjoying that film.
How could you not enjoy it? I mean, it's Bruce Lee, yo.
Yeah, I don't know.
He also played Detective Kaleo on the new Hawaii Five-0, and also played, and I don't remember this character, so you're going to have to help me out, because I know this is going to be in your wheelhouse. He also played the role of Whitey on Back to the Future 2.
I know what movie I remember this guy from. And then, yes, I have seen this. I've seen this movie numerous times, and that is Time Cop 2. He was in Time Cop 2, the Berlin Decision, which I think is an underrated gem.
Okay, well, let's go back to Back to the Future. I don't remember this character, Whitey. Help me out.
I don't either at all. At all. I'm looking at this Ghoulies Go to College. I'm trying to place him in Back to the Future. I got the IMDb pulled up, and it might have been just a background character.
He had to have been, because I just actually saw Back to the Future 2 a couple weeks ago because it was on TNT.
Was he one of Gruff's posse?
Oh, yeah. I think you're right.
Because, yeah, there was an Asian guy in that posse, I believe.
Yes, he was one of the cowboys. You're right. There you go.
Not cowboys. This is in the future. He might have been one of the cowboys, too. I think they recycled that family's posses.
All right, let's highlight another guest star. Robert Donner, who will be playing the role of Tom Jakes. You may know him as Tucker Fix on the soap opera Falcon's Crest. Edmund Trench on the TV show The Fall Guy, and probably most known for playing, and I believe it's pronounced Ecuador, on Mork and Mindy. Jason, were you a Mork and Mindy fan?
John, I am ashamed to say, and this is mainly because of lack of availability, I have not seen Mork and Mindy. The only thing I know about Mork and Mindy is from what I know from Mork from Happy Days.
Oh, okay. And our last one that we're going to highlight is Jack Rader, who will be playing the role of Deputy Rod Atkins. You may also know him as Pete Ruther on Dallas. Little John in Braddock, Missing in Action 3. And are you ready for this one? Hold on to your horses on this one. He was also an Imperial Guard officer on the Star Wars Holiday Special.
No, I'm glad that this guy's career took off after that.
And you know what? I'm going to throw a cheap plug in here real quick. For you folks that might be Star Wars fans and go, hey, I've heard all about the Holiday Special, or maybe you've seen it. If you'd like to check out my interview with Bruce Valanche, who was one of the writers on that Holiday Special, check out PVDcast number 295. It's over at pvdcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And Jason, didn't you talk to Bruce as well?
I did talk to Bruce. I don't know the name of the episode. I'm not as good as you are, but yeah, he was on our show too, back 2 years ago or so.
There you go. All you got to do, Google 3 Geeks Podcast, Bruce Valanche, and there you go. It should pop up.
Yeah, or email me at bnmattalk@gmail.com and tell me what your favorite or least favorite part of the Holiday Special is. It's okay to say the entire thing. It's fine. let me know about it. I'd love to hear from you.
Or if you have any questions for that matter, hit up Jason. He loves getting the emails.
I do. And this guy was also in the Rat Pack episode of Mattalk.
Yes, he was. Yes, he played the attorney, I believe. And don't forget, by the way, since Jason's thrown out the email address, I feel obligated that I need to throw out the social media. And the social media accounts are, of course, at Mattalk_podcast on Twitter and at Mattalk Podcast on Facebook. So reach out. Jason loves getting messages from you. I love when he gets messages because he's very excited and he can't wait to share them with me. And it makes me feel all nice and warm and snuggly inside, if you will.
You know, I get excited about the weirdest things. Like, I love when John does these guest star things because I just found out there was an Outsiders TV series. I did not know about that. It was a sequel to the film and book. And I want to check that out.
All right. Well, we have a couple bits of trivia that we haven't had in a while. This is kind of a little bit of a snafu, and we'll get to it when we actually go into the episode in depth. There's going to be a scene where Win Tran is being held in jail, and there's going to be a mob outside, and Ben looks out the window, and an egg comes flying, splat, right on the window. When they cut to the scene inside the jail cell, there's no egg on the window. A little continuity flaw there. Additionally, early on in the episode, you're going to see that there's some mountains in the background of one of the shots down by the docks, and that is actually kind of a little bit of a geographic error because there are no mountains in coastal Georgia, where, of course, this episode took place. I believe it was called Barton's Bay was the little town and community. So, all right, Jason, are you ready to give an opinion? Your opinion, and only your opinion, so help you.
I do.
Then let's get ready to testify.
Testify! Woo!
All right,
Ooh.
the plot of this episode. A Vietnamese fisherman clashes with another fisherman and is accused of his killing. We have an opening scene where it's pretty standard. It's very basic. It's just docks, some ocean, some land shots. That's it. But then we cut to a scene where it's at night. And Mr. Tran is on his boat that's docked. And here comes two rowdy individuals. And they set fire to Tran's boat. And what do you know? His son, Lee, is inside the boat. This seemed to be very extreme in terms of, let's intimidate the crap out of this guy.
Yeah, but you got to think about the time. I liked that they made this more extreme in the sense of, like, we're going to show you kind of how this hatred is happening in the 80s towards this group of people in this town. I thought it fit well.
I agree. I don't want to give away too much of what we're going to say at the end of the episode, but I agree with you too. I felt like this might be, and I don't know, Jason, is this the first time we've had like really hardcore social commentary in an episode of Mattalk?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, I'm hard pressed to remember. I'll be quite frank. I'd have to go back and look at some of our episodes, but I think this might be the first time that it's something really, you know, as I said, I hate to use the term hardcore, but really ingrained in this episode that we're going to talk about the unfair treatment of these people.
Andy Griffith definitely wanted to get something across in this episode, and I'll touch more on that on the end of one of my thoughts too, because I don't want to spoil my thoughts too much.
All right. So then we see a scene where, hey man, everyone's hanging out at the bar and the hoodlums are celebrating what they've done when Tran comes in to confront them. And he says some things, and then he gets kind of shoved against the bar by one of the hoodlums, John Sampson, if I remember correctly. And the sheriff shows up and tells John, you need to go home. And Tran wants him arrested, but you can't arrest him because they don't have any evidence. And Tran leaves the bar, and he says something maybe he shouldn't have said. He says, I'm going to get you. And that, my friends, is a very vague threat.
Now, what he said was, if the sheriff doesn't do something about this, I am.
And one side note to this whole scene is that the sheriff and apparently now John Sampson are in a race for the office of sheriff of this county, I presume. So that was a unique twist. I liked it because it kind of throws some shade on the sheriff as well as we get into the mystery. So I thought that was really good. And I know most of the time I'm very picky and like, oh, that was a throwaway line. But I think it set the tone for this episode.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
In our next scene, we see that John is killed. He's stabbed. And I did enjoy the very cheesy, but it was pretty funny, slow motion of him like staggering, and then the knife falls out of his hand overboard and kaplunk into the bay. That was cheesy, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it was fine.
So the DA, Mr. Barton, shows up, and the sheriff fills him in as to what happened, right? Gives him all the rundown. And while they're doing that, the cops find Tran's knife overboard. All right, so Mr. Tran's knife is found. It has his initials on it, so that also kind of damns him a little bit, if you will. So then we cut to Mattalk in his office. He's doing car shopping. And you know what, Jason? I got to be honest. This was a great piece of nostalgia because I don't know about you, but as a kid, my dad had a few friends that worked at the Ford dealership down the road that we would sometimes just stop by just to BS for a few moments, right? But as a little kid, I liked going into the showroom and looking at the catalogs for the new cars. And
I used to do that too.
You used to do that too? Ah, yeah, dude. There was just something about it, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was fun for like the first hour. Whenever my dad would go buy a car, it was like the longest 14 hours of my life. Like, you would think you were giving away a kidney or something, sitting in there filling out all this paperwork back in the day. It's a lot faster now. I mean, it's still slow, but you don't spend 12 hours. You only spend like 5 or 6 now.
Well, and again, my dad wasn't buying a car. He was just stopped by. Hey, Mike, how's it going? Hey.
Yeah, no, that's great. I wish we had done that more. But no, there's a whole process. Like my dad would, all right, hold on, I got to go check with my wife. I don't even know if he called my mom or not. Then he'd come back and he'd say, nope, she says it's too expensive, Jason, let's go. And then I'd get halfway to the door and the guy would be like, hold on, we could talk some more. Let's go. And then my dad would sit back down. He'd give him the number. And my dad would walk away to call my mom. He'd come back in and say, still too much, she says. And then the guy would be like, "You're killing me. Hold on, don't leave." And then he'd go get another number, and then same thing until finally the guy got as low as he would go.
Your dad sounds like this would be the exact same like motive and game plan that Ben Mattalk would use to buy a new car.
Yeah. They're trying to end the haggle now. I know a lot of places won't haggle with you anymore.
Yeah.
But that was part of the fun of buying a car, I think, was to see how low you could get it.
Can I ask real quick, did your dad even scope out to make sure there was a payphone that he could quote unquote call his wife on? Because
there was always payphones.
Okay. I was just gonna say that could be like a big tell if he leaves and the salesman's like, joke's on him, there's no payphone. So, you know, in the 80s and 90s there were no cell phones. So you were kind of screwed if you couldn't find a payphone.
I think once we got all the way home, and then the guy at the dealership called my dad back and said, "All right, we'll take your deal." He's like, "All right, we're going back." I'm like, "Oh, I was free. I was free."
Dad, I wanted to watch cartoons, man.
I don't want to do anything but this. Take a nap.
All right, well, Tom Jakes and Lee Tran show up at Matlock's office, and Tom is the harbor master for Barton's Bay, and he is also the Tran sponsor. He helped to bring them to the United States after the Vietnam War. And so Ben agrees to take the case based on this because he says something about, oh, and I'm paraphrasing, oh, you must be a really important friend and Mr. Tran must mean a lot to you, which I thought was good. I liked the laying, the foundation of the relationship between Lee, Wynn, and Tom. I like that. So Ben goes all the way out to Barton's Bay, and he and Michelle meet Barton. And I got to be honest with you, is this the first time we've seen like a very kind and helpful DA? I believe it is.
Yeah. I thought the DA was going to end up being the guy who did it.
Well,
because he was too kind, I thought. I'm like, this guy's way too kind. He's way too nice. He's going to end up being the guy. Ben's going to be like, and the murderer was the prosecutor. Oh, I call you, Mr. Prosecutor, to the stand. I object. Relevance.
Can I steal your dun, dun, dun?
Yeah.
All right.
I would love to see Ben pin a murder on the prosecutor.
Well, listen. We're only at season 2, man. We got plenty of back catalog to read. So listen, folks, don't spoil it for us. Don't spoil it for us. All right. We'll get to it. If there's a prosecutor that gets nabbed and gets framed, we want to be the ones to talk about it first, if you don't mind, folks. All right. Ben interviews Mr. Tran, and Mr. Tran explains that, hey man, the knife that I had that has my initials on it was stolen a couple weeks ago because some people stole like the nets and the radio and all kinds of stuff from his boat. This is, by the way, where you will see the egg snafu, by the way, if you're looking for it. Ben pleads for a charge of venue, and both Ben and Barton argue about this, and the judge agrees that, no, I think that there's plenty of good people here. You can't let a few rotten apples ruin the group, that we can do this right here in Barton's Bay. We don't need to go to Atlanta. So Ben bails out Mr. Tran, and apparently he is bailed out on his own recognizance. Side note, folks, if you look at my notes, I had no idea how to spell recognizance. I had no idea. Do you know how to spell it?
A sense. No.
I didn't. I literally put down no money released. I I didn't even attempt to spell it. I'm sure recognize is part of the root that's in there, but I didn't feel brave enough to try to spell it. And there is your etymology lesson for the day. You're welcome.
Another word I can't spell.
I think I could do that one. Here, check it out. Pull it up. Let's see. I'm going to spell it. Here we go. ETMYOLOGY. Etymology. Am I right, Jason?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, there's an N in it.
What?
Entomology.
Spell it. How's it spelled?
Oh, hold on. No, that's etymology. Etymology. ENTOMOLOGY.
Okay,
true sense or sense of a truth.
Okay. All right. No, wait, that's not even the right word. That's not the right word. Okay, enough of the spelling bee. Never mind. That's not the right word. Etymology is like the history of word parts.
Oh, there it is. I just found it. Jeez. It is ETYMOLOGY. O-G-Y.
I still got it wrong. I flipped the M and Y around. But anywho, people are tuning out now because they're like, we don't want to hear this script National Spelling Bee crap. We want Mattalk. So,
Well,
folks,
that's what you get with us, tangents.
That's what you get with us, yes. So, but folks, let's get back to Mattalk. Outside the jail, there are some hoodlums leaning on Ben's car. That's a new car! That's a new car! That's a new car! They try to intimidate Ben, and Deputy Atkins comes to the rescue. It's like, hit the bricks, guys. Hit the bricks. So Ben decides that he's going to stick behind while Michelle takes Lee and Wynn to their house. So Ben chats with the sheriff, and the sheriff doesn't really like John, doesn't think he's a very nice person, and Ben leaves on this note. I've learned something about motives, excuse me. You never know who has one. And I like that because that's the shade I was talking about, throwing a little suspicion on the sheriff.
Yep.
Ben goes down to the docks and he scopes out John's boat. And while he's on the boat, he discovers that John's wife is there collecting some of the personal effects of John. And Ben interviews her and states, well, was John living on this boat because you're having marital problems, of which she agrees. Also, too, by the way, she has some of the biggest shoulder pads I've ever seen on the show. My God, she looked like Lawrence Taylor. I mean, my gosh, that was extreme.
I didn't notice shoulder pads. I was watching on a small screen, but I can imagine.
Would you want to live on a boat?
No, I'd throw up the whole time I was on the boat.
You get seasick?
Yeah.
All right, I gotcha. How many times have you been on a boat, by the way? Just asking.
I don't know, half a dozen times.
And every time you get sick?
Yeah, I think I've been on 3 cruises.
Okay.
And then just 3 small boats. The last cruise, though, I wasn't so bad on.
Okay. Did you take the Dramamine pills?
Yeah.
Okay. I've only been on a small boat on a lake once. I went ocean fishing one time with my stepfather off the coast of Rhode Island, and that was I didn't much dig it because there's a lot of smells on that boat because you're cutting up, chum to hook on your fish. I'm not a fisherman, so I just got to say I would not be on the docks and accused of murdering somebody. So there you go.
No, I could never be a fisherman because somebody taught me how to fillet a fish, and it was gross. I never want to do that again.
Yeah. Well, the hoodlums are stalking Ben. I mean, everywhere he goes downtown, they're following him. And when you think it might get really bleak for Mattalk, Michelle to the rescue by vehicular homicide. She tries to run them over with the car. No,
good for Michelle. They deserved it.
That's right. That's right. And even what I enjoy? I enjoy the fact that Mattalk didn't even read her the 3rd degree. This is a new car. What are you trying to do? Hit those cars? He didn't care because he knew that stuff was getting real. The proverbial crap had hit the fan. Michelle, though, is dispatched by Ben to a seedy motel to see if Mrs. Sampson is messing around with anybody. And in the meantime, Ben, in our next scene, heads to Mr. Tran's house to have dinner. And a lot of the food that is mentioned is very unique food. And it made me think of a story from my past. So, Jason, can we take a trip down John's memory lane for a few moments?
I would love to, John. You didn't hear this, but as soon as you said that, my computer made a ding sound, which sounded like when you're watching a movie, maybe a parody where they're going to the past to look at a flashback. You hear that noise. I just got that noise in my headphone. It's fantastic timing.
Okay. When I was in 6th grade, a new kid moved in on my block. And I would like to set the table that there was not a lot of kids on my block. I lived in a predominantly older neighborhood. So this new kid, his name was George. George moved in down the street. Now, George was of Chinese descent. His great-great-grandparents were Chinese. His grandparents immigrated to the United States, et cetera, et cetera. As a young kid, I was ecstatic that there was somebody that's the same age as me that I could go hang out with. And we would go to each other's houses and hang out, play video games, whatnot. One time, his mother said, "Would you like to stay for dinner, John?" And I said yes. And so about maybe 20 minutes later, in my head, I'm like, oh no, we're gonna have some weird food. This makes me sound bad, but please keep in mind, Eastern Ohio kid, 11 years old. I'm not worldly, people. I'm not worldly. So Chinese food was like something weird and bizarre, like you heard Mr. Tran run down the menu. So I was freaking out. I was like, how do I get out of this? Because I don't want to eat weird stuff. You know what his mom made? Your standard pepperoni pizza.
Yeah, because it's you.
All that stress and anxiety for nothing, Jason.
My only thing I ever had, I was never nervous about the food put in front of me, because even back then, I didn't want to be looked down upon the parents. So I was always excited for the food. But my friend Amit, Indian descent, his mom would make the spiciest food, and I would try to take one bite. And actually, I take a couple bites because spice sneaks up on you. I take a couple bites, and by the time I got 2 or 3 bites into it, my mouth was on fire. I was like, "What is happening?" I think after the first initial time, they always ordered Domino's for me. I came over. I didn't like Domino's back then, but whatever. I just was so spicy. Now I can eat spicy food. I'm looking forward to trying Indian food again. But yeah, I go to my friend Tam's house and have Vietnamese food. I go to my buddies and have Korean and Japanese. I loved it.
I was a picky eater and still am, although I'm better. I do love
carbs. Carbs is your favorite food. If you guys are having a buffet and you guys have some carbs, John will eat them.
That's right. I love the carbs, and that's a whole other podcast for another time. You know what? Here's something that just clicked in my mind. Which do you think Ben enjoys more, Mr. Tran's cooking or the hot dogs from the hot dog cart?
I'd say they're about on the same page.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because he was trying to get Michelle to eat that food.
Yes, and she's like, not having it.
This is so good. Like, I want to eat more of this. Just remember, guys, gluten, carbs. Call John.
There you go. All right. Well, during this meal, Tran does reveal that Lee is his stepkid, that Mr. Tran married Lee's mom when he was a baby. She had passed away, and then they immigrated to the United States. And that, as we mentioned, Michelle shows up. She's not a fan of Vietnamese food, but she did find out that the deputy, Atkins, is linked to Mrs. Sampson. And also, about 6 months prior, Atkins was a fisherman. His boat got repossessed, and now he's a deputy. So that looks a little bit suspicious. And now we come to what was somewhat an interesting scene where that brand new car, Jason, it goes boom. Yeah, Ben's car explodes.
Yeah, when I first saw the fire, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, did they burn crosses on like Vietnamese and Asian descent, or is that just African Americans? And then I saw it was a car, because for a second I started to wonder that. I was getting ready to pause the show and Google it, and then I saw the car.
I want to know, do you think the producers were like, hey, Andy, we are under budget. We still got like $36,000 in the budget. What do you want to do? Let's blow up a car. That always goes through my mind. Like, let's blow it up, you know? All right. We do get a change of venue, though, because the car exploded. The judge was like, no. That's extreme. So we are going to reassign the case to Fulton County. So we go to our first courtroom scene, where the knife is the focus of the testimony. Ben feels that John knew the murderer because he was stabbed in the back. And if you are somebody that does not like someone else, you wouldn't turn your back on them. No, they might sucker punch you or shoot you in the back, or in this instance, stab you in the back. So Ben feels that the killer was known to John. We get Tom on the stand, and he states that he heard Mr. Tran's threats. And then that leads to Tom kind of saying outside the courtroom in the hallway, sorry, I told the truth. And that also leads Lee to mouthing off a little bit about Barton. And then the Trans leave. And interestingly enough, Barton shares that the fishing in the area has gone downhill and that the Vietnamese people that live in the neighborhood, they are the scapegoats. All right, what do you think of this whole courtroom scene, Jason?
That was well done. Why is he going to be mad at his buddy for lying? Like, he told the truth. He wasn't trying to throw him under the bus. It's just he asked a question, he answered the question.
Yeah, and I think that it was good that Lee, being a younger kid, and I don't mean younger, but like 18, 19, 20 years old, is obviously, how dare you do this to my dad, So I thought that was a very well played out scene as well. Michelle shows up. She finds out that Adkins and John had served together in Vietnam. They had also spent time in the stockade for threatening innocent Vietnamese people. This leads Ben to the idea that maybe our killer's right in front of our noses, as it's Adkins. All right, Tyler Hudson time, baby. Yeah.
Reduced back to a cameo after last week.
But you know what? He made a gold mine out of what he was given on this particular episode. I'm just telling you that right now. He is on the boat with Michelle and Tom, and they throw a replica knife of Mr. Trans overboard, and then turn and say, "Hey, guess who gets to be the diver?" And Tyler's not very happy about this. And in the next scene, he finds the new knife, and Ben's like, "I can't let you up, Tyler. You got to find the actual murder weapon," which he does not enjoy.
Well, he says this is going into special pay.
Yeah, this is going into bonus time. This is bonus time. Oh, my gosh. This was great. Oh, my. Is the cat on the loose?
Yes, she just threw Thanos' gauntlet.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason has an adorable kitten who is somewhat rowdy, and I just watched her leap from the top of a bookcase off screen, and then that's what that crash was. What did it get hurt? Did it get broken?
No.
Okay.
It's a plastic piggy bank.
Okay. Well, did the cat get hurt?
The cat's fine.
Are you fine?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
All right. All right. Anyways, so Tyler does indeed. He continues on his search begrudgingly, and I really enjoyed that part. And then we go to our next scene where Ben confronts Adkins at the Xanadu Lounge. Something tells me you don't get a good hot meal at the Xanadu Lounge if you just by the name alone.
No.
It sounds like it would be an absolute disgusting place to go, the Xanadu Lounge. I'm just saying.
Xanadu. I'm good. I'll try to get there. It doesn't matter. As long as I don't go in there and they're like, picking their nose and the guy's all crusty cooking the food.
Well, look, I would go to the Xanadu Lounge before I'd go to the Double Deuce. I'll just say that.
This is a Double Deuce restaurant?
No, that's Roadhouse.
Oh, I've never seen Roadhouse.
What? Oh my! I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for my outburst. I can't believe. Okay, you know what? We're gonna have to fix that, man. We're gonna have to fix that. Roadhouse is epically awesome in the most cheesiest way possible.
I love cheesy action movies. I don't know why I haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm. By the way, a side note, and I think this comes out when Ben is talking to Michelle, I believe, earlier on, that Tom's son was killed in Vietnam. And so that was the reason for him trying to help this Vietnamese family immigrate to the United States to kind of make him feel better about things. So we go back to the courtroom, and Ben proves that Mr. Tran's knife isn't the murder weapon because supposedly it was found under Tram's boat. But due to the currents and Tyler's great scuba diving skills, we find out that the knife, the replica knife, was thrown overboard on the exact same side or at the exact same time. And that knife was found way further down in the bay. And so therefore, it is theorized that John was killed with his own knife and that Adkins had planted the knife of Mr. Tran in the bay. All right. Adkins finally admits that, hey, man, listen, I burned the boat. I stole all that stuff. I did not stab John Sampson. And what do you know, Jason? We get a dismissal. Were you shocked by the dismissal?
No.
You weren't?
He had proven.
Okay.
No, the only thing in the case I don't even know if this case would have gone to anywhere with just the knife, with no fingerprints or no blood or anything. It's all circumstantial, but that's all they had was the knife. And as soon as he said he planted the knife, everything else went out the window.
We go to our last few scenes. Ben has returned to Barton Bay, and he's on the docks. And what do you know? He sees that Barton is standing there. And so they start talking. And Ben reveals something. He says, you know what? I know something, Mr. Barton. I know that you're the one who set fire to my car. I know.
Peanut!
Oh, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Peanut the cat is back at it, jumping all around in Jason's setup. I apologize. Peanut needs to appear on more episodes of Mattalk.
She needs to appear on something, all right.
Hey, now. All right, anyways. It's revealed that Barton burned the car and that he gave all that information about the currents and everything because he's actually Lee Tran's real father. What a twist. Did you see this coming?
Kind of.
You did?
He said he was in Vietnam, and I'm like, here we go.
Well, that's true. He was in Vietnam, and Ben said, well, you said stepson. There's only two people that know that Lee is a stepson. That is Win Tran and Tom. And so he goes, you must have slipped up. And so then it's revealed that Barton is the one who put the knife in the back of John. And so he admits that he went to the boat. He wasn't really looking for any trouble. He just wanted him to leave, him being, of course, John, to leave the Vietnamese folks alone. He stabbed him. And then apparently John was heading towards him with a knife, but then he collapsed. The knife fell overboard. And, dude, we end with Mattalk and Barton walking off into the sunset. Barton got away with it! What'd you think about this ending?
It's fascinating.
Why is it fascinating?
Because Ben, like you said, he didn't report it to anybody, or, allegedly they just walked off into the sunset together.
Yeah, you would think that Ben would have to let somebody know on this. I mean, but then I like the idea that this John was such a dirty, rotten scoundrel that he got what he got coming to him. Just like that guy that picked the fight with Mike Tyson on a plane. You got what you got, man, because you were an idiot and you poked the bear. I don't know. I mean, I'll just leave it up there that it certainly was a shocking end to the episode nonetheless.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you thought. Email us at benmattalk@gmail.com and let us know what you thought of the ending.
That's right. Yeah, I was just going to ask you if you wanted to chime in with anything. And don't forget, by the way, also on social media, you can find us on Facebook at Mattalk Podcast or on Twitter at Mattalk_podcast. And yeah, let us know what you thought about it. And Jason, I'm assuming you don't have any other notes or anything else to discuss?
I don't.
All right, then let's get into our closing statements. This is the part of the podcast where Jason and I are going to rate this episode. We're going to rate it based on a gavel system. 5 gavels for an absolutely awesome episode, down to 1 gavel for an absolutely abysmal episode. Not only will we tell you our ratings, we'll also justify why we gave those ratings. So with that being said, Jason, you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I can go first.
All right.
I loved this episode so much. It really showed how harsh people can be towards people that are different. I felt like everybody was on their A game in this episode. I wish we had a little bit more Tyler Hudson, but you could tell Andy Griffith was passionate about this particular episode. I'm not going to say he phones it in on some episodes, but some episodes he's definitely in cruise control at a certain level, and I felt like this episode really elevated his level of interest in the episode, and I thought it was really good. I give it 4.6 gavels.
4.6?
Yeah.
What fraction would that be?
6/10, 3/5.
So 4 3/5. Okay. All right. I give it 5 gavels. In fact, not only do I give it 5 gavels, I have to say this, ladies and gentlemen. I had no negatives to write down. I loved the ending. I mean, it was something different. I'm also a guy that likes a little vengeance. I'm a big fan of Death Wish, and so for me, I thought this was a great vengeance type of ending to this episode. I love the social commentary. Again, I agree with you, Jason. I think that Andy Griffith obviously had a message that he wanted to get out there, and it is the '80s, and we're not that far removed from the Vietnam War. And I remember as a kid that this was still a hot button issue at times, bringing back the troops that were MIA. Tyler Hudson, I thought, yes, he did not have a very big part, but I thought he did wonders with what he had. I even like the cheesy explosions and Ben being stalked by the hoodlums because it added a little sense of danger. Overall, 5 gavels, nothing negative to say at all. I loved it. It's going up there on my top episodes, right behind The Wrestler. Folks, mwah! I gave it the little chef's kiss, if you will.
I'm convinced. I give it 5 too. I'm overturning my previous ruling, and I'm going to go to 5 because, again, I had no issues with this episode.
You know what? I'm glad that we can overturn our decision and not have to go through the appellate court. That's good. Saves on time and energy. All right, Jason, let's talk about our other podcasting projects. So hit us up. What's going on with the 3 Geeks podcast?
We are live every Sunday at noon. I have been slacking on the interview tip, but we'll get back to that eventually. But we are live every Sunday at noon. You guys can find us at 3geeks.ninja on Twitter, on social media at 3geeks podcast. You can find me personally at 3geeksj. You guys can find us anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in 3geeks podcast. We're there. We'd love to hear from you. And we interviewed Chris Candy a few weeks ago. So go back, check that out. Chris Candy is he's great. He told us what the final movie he saw with his father, who was John Candy, was. And it moved all of us. So guys, go run out and check out that interview. It was fun.
And the PVD Cast is my own personal podcasting project. It's available at pvdcast.com or through all of those major podcasting outlets. This week's episode, I talked to a very interesting independent filmmaker by the name of Cody Clark. He's based out of Brooklyn, New York, and we talk a little bit about, just making movies and not having to worry about budgets and corporate sponsorship and all that type of stuff. He's put out quite a few, about a dozen films, and it was really cool to talk to him and get his influence his philosophy on what influences him when it comes to making movies. So please check it out. And as always, too, by the way, if you love 3 Geeks Podcast or the PVD Cast or even Mattalk, please make sure that you're rating and reviewing. It helps us out in the algorithm, and it really means a lot to us, and we really appreciate it. And as always, email us, leave us messages on social media. We love interacting with you. We already said that earlier on. So with that, Jason, should we get on out of here?
Let's do it, man.
All right, with that being said, like they say in court, nothing further. The following has been a joint production between the 3 Geeks Podcast and John Orlando Enterprises, LLC, copyright 2022.